Why did I switch from gas to electric? Well, good question. Pretty easy one. At the time, it wasn't. But gas equipment was costing me a fortune. Not just the equipment, it was hiring the people to run the equipment, the repairs on the equipment, the maintenance on the equipment, the time just to get fuel for the equipment. So, of course, when looking at all those factors, and also you have to place times with those factors. How long does it take to go get the gas? Is it a crew going to get the gas? If so, is that just another chance to stop and look around and buy more stuff, get some more energy drinks, get all the other things you didn't prepare for to bring with you that day? I'm just as guilty as anyone, so I'm not really making fun. I'm just stating the fact that you don't realize how much time, which of course is money, that you save. And I saw it in the beginning when, during COVID, gas prices were high. We were a necessary business, so we, were fortunate to still have work, to have plenty of work, to be honest with you. And it was a blessing, and I'm very appreciative for it. So I'm in no way, bad mouthing that. I'm not saying that we were more important than other kinds of businesses that weren't deemed necessary. Won't even get into that, but I'm thankful that we were blessed to be in that position. And we had, with that being said, a lot of employees. With lots of employees came just a lot of training and a lot of, coming and going, especially when unemployment became so easy to get. So, most people knew how to run, gas equipment. But as far as mixing the gas and oil together, not so much. A lot of times, just kind of guess. And with it not being mixed at the correct ratio, of course, the carburetors failed. Also, other things, like exhaust screens and things like that I never really knew too much about because I wasn't a mechanic. I became one to the process because I noticed that, I would pay a mechanic to do carburetor clean out, which you would think, would mean take the carburetor apart and clean it out, get the junk out of it, get the junk out of the bowls, things like that. But then you learn that there's a lot of shortcuts getting taken by just spraying some magical fluid in there that's called carburetor cleaner, and it magically fixes it. Well, it may clear something out, but it's just a Band-Aid. And so after, a while learning this, I was like, okay, well, I can just do it myself. I'll, be mechanic. Surely it won't be that much. But then when you're sending the crews out there, alone or with a supervisor, but, there might be too many people to supervise all at once. There's mistakes always happen. But to watch them sit there and just pull on a blower and pull and pull and pull and it not start, or it start for a second and then cut off as soon as you get it on. I mean, if you've ever been out there and you've been in that situation, you know what I'm talking about, and it's brutal. And also, you'd have people that would just pull those strings so hard that, they would rip the coil, rip the rope in half. So you could have it break in that way. Again, the exhaust, just to tell you how much junk is in the exhaust that's coming out, they have little screens over the exhaust, and those get so caked up that that'll cause a whole nother issue that'll seem just like a carburetor issue. And, the machines won't work. And that is mainly, I'm talking about just the blowers. There are other issues with the trimmers. And of course, when you get into the mowers, it's a much bigger process because you're going from a 2-cycle engine to a larger engine, more components, more things to, figure out and work on. Larger ones, more expensive. And again, it started small with just a trimmer and a push mower. And I realized how efficient it was, how simple it made things. Push a trigger or pull a trigger, push a button, whatever, and it starts, it goes, let go of it, it stops. There's really not much to it. You put the battery in, it works. Like, this is great. But if only I could figure out a way to do this with my business. And I was coming from, music background, switched careers, after my daughter was born, for something, local. And I had learned in a little small, couple months job at a place during a winter one year. I was trying out how to put solar lights on flagpoles, and how it wasn't the solar that was really powering so much as it was the batteries inside. Therefore, the solar energy is keeping those batteries charged, or they'll charge it throughout the day so that at night you have power. So with that, I bought a couple of solar panels back then. You didn't get near as much as what you get now for the money, but I got these 100-watt panels that were big, heavy, but I mounted them on the back of a bass boat, hooked it into batteries, some 12-volt batteries, just like deep cycle batteries, and ran them in parallel, and ran I had four the trolling motors on the back of the boat that I'd mounted where the outboard used to be, and had them all, synced together with a steering system. And then there were light switches that turned them on, but they all ran off these batteries. And then what I did is I built like a tail fin, looked like something out of the 80s. It was awesome, on like a Fiero, but made this tail fin and put the panels on top, and was able to harness enough power to keep those batteries charged to go out fishing, have fun with my kid for hours on a lake that you could only have electric powered vehicles or boats on, not cars. That wouldn't work, but no gas. And even had sheriff waiting for me once on the side to give me a ticket and tell me to get off the lake because you can't have gas powered motor because we're going so fast. They never believed it was trolling motors. But then I showed them, and then of course they're like, wow, this is awesome. But I had that now sitting there in my yard, and I'm looking at it, that boat, looking at my trailers. And then I know when we go camping and stuff like that, sometimes I've had a little fold out solar panel that could give power to like a small, like just charge a phone or something like that. So I'm trying to look at all this into a bigger picture. But at the time, still, all these components were very expensive to get into something commercial or something that would power enough, batteries for some of the big batteries they have today. And at that time, the biggest batteries that were really out for the Atlas were, 40 volt. They were higher than, the Ryobi, Milwaukee, all the other ones out there. I didn't know too much about Ego at that time. And I had got, I think the first thing was a weed trimmer of theirs as well. And, I was very amazed with it. I liked it just like I liked the Atlas. And then a push mower, just like I had the Atlas, but it was mainly so we'd have two different crews that could use something electric while we're still using the gas blowers, the gas zero turns, but something that's still electric and would still save us money. And just in those two components, both crews having an electric push mower and an electric trimmer, already there was, the amount of things that were broken, decreased. The amount of time that was needed decreased. That wasn't like time where they're actually out on a job, but I'm saying the time, getting there or from here to there. And so I'm, working with solar stuff to try and figure out a way to just to charge, one battery at a time. And at the time, I'm plugging it into an inverter in the truck, charge it that way. And then I'm like, man, as soon as a zero turn comes available, that is all battery, I'm buying one, and I'm going to figure out a way to charge it. And lo and behold, Ego came out with one. And so I went and got at that time, it was the 42-inch zero turn Z6, and was just blown away by that thing. How well it maneuvered, how good it cut. Everything about it was incredible, except for charging the batteries. The thing holds 6 batteries. Usually it needs to be a 10 or a 12 amp, so the large batteries. And they take quite a bit of power to charge them. So when I would try to charge them off the inverter, plugged into the vehicle, it would do one at a time. Sometimes, depending on the first inverter I had, it wouldn't even do it. So I had to get a larger inverter. Well, at that time, I realized, with the 200 watts that I had coming in of solar, that I could run one of those chargers, but it would take the energy away faster than I could replenish it. So I got, more panels, and I started learning more about the panels, about, monocrystalline versus, the others, and which types were absolutely best. And the only way to really find out too much about this was people doing it for their homes. Some people doing it, on their travel trailers. And I'm looking into them, so I buy some more panels and get it up to about 600 watts that's coming in. At that time, of course, had to get a larger solar controller, had to get a larger inverter, and, started moving to then inside the trailer, having my own LiFePO4 lithium battery that would store this energy. And it was better than having a lead acid battery, because you can't just charge them, let them go dead, charge them again, let them go dead, and them still stay efficient. It's going to wear it down. So also, these lithium batteries, I'm looking into it, and they have BMSs, battery management systems, which keep them from overheating, exploding, things like that. So I wasn't, too worried about that either. Where, when you're dealing with acid and stuff, and if it spills, there's more dangers. I'm bringing in more issues, where with these other batteries, it felt quite safe. So then I get the power up to where I'm able to charge more than one battery. And I've got the, zero turn, and it's still kind of one crew with me, was all electric, which was mainly myself, one other person. And then the other crews were still going out gas. But we were still doing almost double the work, because we didn't have all these issues slowing us down. So I definitely saw how the return on investment was almost immediate. Now, what I did with that return of the investment is I reinvested into more solar panels, better inverters, larger solar charge controllers, and got another trailer. At that time, I just had the one big trailer, so got a smaller trailer that I could outfit as fully electric. And again, this is still kind of in the COVID area, right after. So we're looking at 2021, going into 22. And so I made that one fully, solar on top, which had, at that time, I think about 800 watts coming in, and did this one in 12 volt and ran them in series and made it a 24 volt. And then I also had a separate 12 volt system for any other smaller things or things that weren't ego that used a different charger, and had it that way. And I was getting to know one of the guys there at Ego, and I'm telling him about everything that I'm doing. And he's like, this is great, because at the time they didn't really have a commercial line. It was just residential. But I was like, this works for commercial, no problem. And then I'm pointing out some of the different things that I'm learning about it, kind of like how their weed trimmers, they spin in an opposite direction. And for me, walking backwards when you're edging with a trimmer, it can be a little dangerous. Walking in traffic, walk into a sign, a mailbox. So I like the fact that with it running in the opposite direction, I could just walk forwards and edge real quick if I didn't have an edger handy. But of course, they had, the power heads where you could change everything out. So we did, have an edger, which of course makes, a nice clean cut. But just little things like that, and so they had me testing some other little products here and there, but mainly giving them a lot of feedback about what it is we're doing solar wise, and to be able to go out, mobile in service as a commercial landscaper, commercial as far as the business. We were doing commercial and residential properties, but then also noticing from the customers the appreciation they were having of us not being so loud. It's not giving off any odor. And, when we were first working on this, with the zero turns and everything, and I was, ready to turn the business to all electric. I started doing a lot of research on it and actually did see what it is, that you are breathing. And of course the decibel amounts, and being in the music business, I knew all about decibels and knew that, what was coming out of those gas blowers was way beyond, what can cause deafening. And I know that from experience from my nerve deafness in one ear. So I also have a daughter that, is on the spectrum, and, loud noises, loud sounds like that would be very irritating. And when, I'm using the electric stuff, you don't have that. And so a lot of the parents that, have kids at home like that, they were expressing gratitude. People that worked from home. And of course, remember during COVID, everyone's home. So when you're able to go service the property and they don't even know you're there is pretty awesome. So, all these other benefits are hitting me that are encouraging me. Hey, you're onto something. Keep going. And so I had built out the small trailer to be fully electric. Now I got the larger trailer to be fully electric. We bought another zero turn, a 52-inch. And again, this is out of our, ROIs, is out of our return of our investment. And then got a good deal on one of the E-steers. And so we got one of those. So there we are with, 3. And then we're getting more and more, trimmers. We're sticking with everything Ego, because I've tried all these other brands, in between, getting Ryobi's, getting Makita, getting Milwaukee, and we went and actually tried out for another company. I know I'm kind of jumping around, but we tried out Steel and Echo, Husqvarna, all of their equipment. And I mean, out of all honesty, we were just as happy, if not happier, with the Ego product. And that blew me away, because everything I had was Steel or Exmark. I did have some other things, come and go, Ferris, things like that, Walker, but mainly stuck with Ego and Exmark because I knew they put out a good product. As far as the electric, though, I was pretty surprised when I tried some of it, and I'm sure they've advanced more now, but sure, I'll try something. But again, I've been sold on Ego, and not by them or anything they've said, but by the product that they've given me, or not given me, but, made available and I've purchased. So moving on, we build with the bigger trailer, I now convert it to be completely electric and solar as well. Move it up to about 1,000 to 1,200 watts coming in solar. And then, of course, again, getting a larger inverter, and then 24-volt system, which seemed to be working good, but I really want to try out the 48-volt. But at this time, I already had, the 2 trailers already outfitted, ready to go. And then we bought a big box truck, and that's where I decided to go ahead and get massive panels, top of the line, to where sometimes we can be pushing close to 2,000 watts coming in, and a 48-volt system with, inverter, charge controller, all in one. So it's really simple. And all we have to do is, plug in. Also, this company called Toa Industries, they have a distribution box. It's really cool. That helps make sure that anything that's plugged in there, it's getting what power it needs, but it's not overpowering something or underpowering something. And I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out. But it's really, really cool. But, and other companies, of course, were starting to notice us online and sending us some stuff like Petra, and Petra tools or sprayers, things like that are amazing. And again, they're electric, need recharged. So, the trailers and trucks all do that for you. But with these new trucks and the trailers and everything, now, of course, we sold off everything gas. We don't use anything gas. And again, it's for so many more reasons than just a political one or again, I'm all for saving the planet. I'm all for it. But I know there's a long way to go. There's a lot of other items out there, along with lithium batteries that do harm as well. But again, when you look at some of our batteries that are lithium, we're going on 4 years of still using the same batteries. And therefore, that battery's carbon footprint, that one battery, after 4 years of use, it's still working. So I don't know how many years, but all these batteries I haven't been having the issues I had back when I used Ryobi and things like that, where, they're kind of seasonal equipment because they're seasonal batteries. They only work for a little while and then they're done. These were definitely made much, much better. And so they last much longer. And hopefully, there'll be a good solution to that in the near future. But regardless, if someone wondering, why should I switch my company from gas to electric? There's your reasons, efficiency of the equipment, the efficiency in your whole workforce, means you don't have to take all these breaks. You don't have to take all this time for repairs or trying to get things started. They all work. If they don't, then most all the stuff, everything that we've got, especially with Ego, they come with great warranties. So you just call and they send you another one, or you go to a place and swap it out, especially if you're getting it through like Lowe's or Ace or something like that. But again, it's real rare because there's not many things that go wrong. Unless it's like a bad solder or a bad wire or something like that. But that's not near as common anywhere even close as a carburetor or a gasket or a hose or a belt. And sure, we do still have to, change blades on the mowers. Everything else gears, so it's not like you're having to change out the belts. But, blades, that's simple. You sharpen them or replace them. We string trimmer, string, edger blades, the normal things that you would have, but all the other stuff's gone. So when you're looking at your profit margin, it's not this huge spreadsheet of all this stuff, of all these dues that you have that are, just regular because of a culprit called, the fuel and additives they add to fuels, and the way, hoses would just get eaten by the stuff that's, in the gas and the ethanol. And again, long story short, there is so many reasons of why anyone not only should, would, but should switch over to electric. And it's because if you want to make a lot more money doing what you're doing, work in a cleaner feeling environment, not smelling like, fuel, not looking like exhaust has been hitting you all day. And to be honest with you, working out in the heat is much easier when you don't have something burning and heating the whole back of your body at the same time. The guys always talk about how much nicer and easier it is. And, everyone that works for us, I think pretty much everyone has worked for another landscaping company with gas and are just blown away by how much easier it is, how much faster they can get a job done, how they can end their day before it gets too hot. And, of course, they're easy ones to talk into, starting their own franchise because they're out here experiencing it. But not everyone can do that. And that's why we did write a book. This is the first copy. This just kind of gives a little description of why we did it and how we did it. But there is the new version that's coming out that includes the box truck, which is when we switch to 48 volts. And what this book is mainly for, not just to open it, read it, be like, oh, cool. Well, that worked out great. Good for you. It's for people that, want to, or maybe thinking about starting a landscape business, the smartest way to do so, and all the things that cost us money of trial and error, getting the right size, the right compatibility with your components for these trailers and trucks is crucial. And, yes, of course, I did spend a lot of money on a lot of things that I don't use anymore, that just sit in an area. But again, the profit margin has been so high that doesn't matter. The return on the investment is so high that it doesn't matter. So we offer a course where we're happy to teach you how to convert. Because again, if you are a large business, you have all these trucks and trailers that, are gas, and all these machines that are gas. Cool. Keep them, keep using them. But what if you just converted one? What if you just switched one of your crews? And rather than trying to figure it out, give us a call, hit us up on one of our platforms, or, sign up for the course and learn how to do it right the first time. And then go out there and immediately start seeing how much more you make from that crew versus the others. Or if you're just starting out and, you're starting from scratch, well, then that's perfect. Then you don't have to worry about trying to sell all your old equipment, because you will once you see how much more efficient this is. And it's funny because, I've even had people writing, "Oh, do you carry an extension cord around, or do you just carry tons of batteries?" And it's because the solar panels aren't visible on top of the trailers. Kind of do it on purpose. People don't need to know, what's up there. But also, it's not like it's trying to look ghetto. We want to look classy. And therefore, we make everything, it's all in the same color schemes. We try to give more VIP service, because honestly, it is. When you're able to give someone a service that used to be annoying, that used to just be like, "Oh God, the landscapers are here again. Well, don't come around this time," or "Can we wait until they're done and gone before we sit outside and have tea," or whatever. There's a million reasons that landscapers can drive you nuts. And it's just because they're there to make things pretty, make things look professional. So we come looking professional, sounding professional, try to smell professional, and leave with an overall happy feeling on all sides, the customer and us. And that's why I, encourage you, if you're out there, you're a landscaper, thinking about being a landscaper, whatever, you don't have to switch everything over. You don't have to do everything like we do it, but I encourage you to try it. I encourage you to reach out to us. Get the book, get the new version, sign up for the course, or just watch these videos. But learn how to do it, or have us do it, and just see how it changes your life or improves your life. Again, whether you're a landscaper or not, thinking about being one, or just do it at home, and set up a little system in your shed that keeps it all powered. We can help you do all that. But why not use energy that's free if it's available? I'd love to hear a reason why that doesn't make sense. All right, well, hope I didn't bore you.